The Objective News Network, Kevlar robes, massive judicial corruption with no accountability. Hello, this is Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. Have you ever wondered why judges aren't held accountable for things like throwing legal cases for political gain, accepting bribes to rule in favor of one side or another, sending kids to jail to make money, taking expensive vacation trips as payoffs, looking the other way for friends who get caught breaking the law, helping out their lawyer husbands or wives by churning legal cases in their direction, helping certain law firms churn cases in order to make more money and land cushy jobs after leaving the bench, along with hundreds of other similar scenarios just like these. Well, wonder no more. Just take a look at this. The Objective News Network has just obtained exclusive access to an internal report from the nonprofit think tank, the Institute for Complexity Management, or ICM for short, on the corruption of the judicial system. At ICM, they have created a computer database of evidence on the true level of corruption in our judicial system that is downright shocking. It's called the National Investigative Library of Evidence, or NILE for short. What it contains is truly an explosive story. At ICM, they conducted several multi-year investigations of unfair and predatory competitive conduct by agencies of the U.S. government against three small American companies, a company called FoodQuest TQ, another called the Wesleyan Company, and the third called Demodulation Incorporated. The report shows unlawful domestic intelligence collection against U.S. citizens and their companies by the U.S. government to steal their intellectual property, and the collusion of judges, lawyers, government agencies, law enforcement, and government contractors, all operating under the cover of the government agencies they were working for to systematically violate the rights of small American business owners. According to the report, and I quote, "In the three cases examined here, we found that federal judges overlooked the misconduct of the U.S. government attorneys that practice law in their courtrooms," close quote. The report cites incident after incident after incident of judicial and lawyer misconduct, where federal and state judges colluded to cover up their own misconduct by politically suborning law enforcement, including the Bergen County prosecutor, the Attorney General of New Jersey, the Deputy U.S. Attorney General for New Jersey, and the FBI to cover up violations of law in fraud after fraud after fraud upon the machinery of both the federal and state courts. The ICM report details 12 instances where federal judges violated the rules for judicial conduct and judicial disability proceedings under the Judicial Conduct and Disability Act of 1980. The report says that judicial accountability systems do not work and, quote, "the attorney disciplinary process is badly corrupted." The first dysfunctional step in the legal disciplinary process is to stifle the pursuit of misconduct complaints at the very outset. According to the report, and I quote again, "The cases we examined demonstrate that the failure to docket and the propensity to summarily dismiss complaints against lawyers and judges, regardless of merit, is the number one mechanism used by legal disciplinary authorities to deny the existence of unethical conduct." This, of course, ends up, and I quote again, raising serious questions about the validity of the core notion of self-policing, a critical source of the legal profession's power, close quote. In other words, judges and lawyers avoid the problem of holding each other accountable by denying that any misconduct ever occurred in the first place. Occasionally, the process is not so easily controlled, especially when a small minority of complainants choose to stand their ground, as well demonstrated by each of the 3 case studies presented in the report. When this happens, the disciplinary procedure is truncated by a process of appeal to the very same higher authorities that share a vested interest in protecting their own positions and preserving their collective and extraordinary power of self-policing their own conduct. That is why most appeals are summarily dismissed unless there is a threat of public exposure involved. In those cases, the punishments are seldom commensurate with the degree of misconduct. But appeals serve to ensnare each successive appeal authority in a corrupt web of deceit intended to protect their judicial and lawyer colleagues in a way that creates documented and an unmistakable track record of their own unethical conduct. Thus, the evidence of lawyer and judicial misconduct provided by this ICM report are not only irrefutable, but also a shocking example of the total lack of moral and ethical conduct by the people all of us trust to be sterling examples of both honesty and integrity. The report and other evidence in the Nile database suggests that federal judges Thomas Wheeler, William Martini, Madeline Cox-Arleo, Leda Dunwetra, Michael Hammer, and the Chief Justice of the New Jersey Supreme Court himself, Stuart Rabner, and other judges may have joined together with corrupt lawyers and law enforcement to form a racketeering influence corrupt organization, RICO, to fix legal rulings and judicial and lawyer disciplinary complaints. The ICM report cites instance after instance after instance of outright fraud upon the courts by judicial employees, lawyers, prosecutors, and law enforcement personnel working together to stop and fix legal cases that would have exposed them. In another case, when citizens complained about the misconduct of judges, their cases were simply dismissed by their judicial colleagues. When several individuals complained to the Supreme Court of New Jersey's Office of Attorney Ethics, they had their reputations destroyed by investigative teams led by this man, Timothy J. McNamara, Esquire, who claimed that they were mentally unbalanced, liars, dishonest, cheats, and other personally directed insults, instead of investigating the facts presented to them by complainant after complainant after complainant. After reading the reports issued by the Office of Attorney Ethics, as contained in the Nile database, we were absolutely shocked at the level of corruption and the way citizens were treated at the hands of Mr. McNamara and his colleagues at the Office of Attorney Ethics, including the former director there, Mr. Charles Centenaro. Centenaro was recently fired following a report that he was engaging in improper sexual misconduct with a subordinate at the Office of Attorney Ethics. Earlier, Centenaro was accused of sexual discrimination in a case involving former OAE employee Ms. Melissa Urban. But evidence in the Nile database suggests that the case may have been fixed by former Bergen County prosecutor Gerbir Gruel. An appeal of the dismissal of the complaints was later despoiled by this New Jersey lawyer, Lawrence Lusberg, when he wrote a prohibitive and highly defamatory letter directly to the head of the DRB, Disciplinary Review Board, Ms. Bonnie Frost, personally attacking and defaming the complainants as mentally unbalanced, liars, untrustworthy, and otherwise reprehensible human beings. The letter is terribly unprofessional and shocking. It is publicly available in a redacted report just issued by the Institute for Complexity Management at this URL. The ICM Nile database contains a treasure trove of additional evidence showing the whole-scale corruption of the American judicial system. At ONN, we will be bringing you much more on the corruption of the American court system, up to including the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals and the fixing of judicial complaints. But what is most shocking is that the corruption was brought to the attention of the state of New Jersey in federal courts, Eric Holder and Bill Barr at the Justice Department, Christopher Wray at the FBI, Governor Murphy of New Jersey, and the entire legislature of New Jersey, and the U.S. Congress, all of whom ignored complaint after complaint after complaint. It is what it is for Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. Thank you very much for watching. You can see a redacted copy of the Institute for Complexity Management report by visiting this link. Thank you very much for watching.